Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to C.A.R. Entertainment. I'm your host Dylan Hamilton, guys, and today we're going to be doing more A21 biology, guys. This time we're going to be moving on and talking about communities and succession, guys. And without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So guys, there's a number of definitions you need to know under ecology, and we're just going to go through some of them right now. So the first one is what an ecologist is, and an ecologist basically explains how the world will work at a number of different levels. The second definition is a microhabitat, and this is where many organisms will occupy a small part of a habitat. A community is a biotic component of an ecosystem, and this involves interactions between autotrophic and heterotrophic populations. An ecosystem is an ecological unit which consists of several habitats and their associated communities, and these consist of both biotic and abiotic components. Populations in a community are also interdependent. A niche is an ecological role in a space that an organism will fill in an ecosystem, and succession, which is something we're going to talk about in today's video, is something that describes the progressive change in a species composition of a community over a period of time. So what is primary succession? Let's get straight into succession. And you have this thing called primary succession, and that is where the first organism that will colonize a habitat, and these are usually called pioneer species, and they're also usually lichens. And this is because lichens are well adapted for this colonizer role because they are tolerant of desiccation and they can grow without soil. It's a fungus which shelters algae and it can provide CO2 for photosynthesis, and the death of a lichen provides organic materials for decomposition and it prepares species to colonize. After the lichens, you usually find mosses that colonize, and these have root-like rhizoids that allow them to attach to the surfaces, and they don't need deep soil to grow. They usually grow in clumps and trap more dead material, which continues the formation of the primitive soil. This means they're capable of surviving a high degree of desiccation. Talking more about primary succession, the next thing after you find mosses is usually some ferns and grasses which colonize, and this is then taking advantage of the thin soil which has been collected and added to the organic content that whenever the plants die and decompose. Eventually, over time, soil will be built up and it will be at a high enough point where herbaceous flowering plants can be established, and these are followed by shrubs and small trees. After time, a diverse community will be dominated by deciduous trees such as oak. When succession stops, this will be known as a climax community, and this will be present in a dynamic equilibrium. The composition of this climax community is determined by what is known as a climactic climax. That is a bit of a mouthful, but yes, it's a climactic climax that causes or determines a climax community, which is essentially just whenever succession stops. So, what can stop succession from reaching this potential climax? And it's this biotic interference called a biotic climax. And a biotic climax, always known as a plagioclimax, is an area which is an area of human race that influences and prevents an ecosystem from developing. So this can be done through cutting down existing vegetation, burning, such as forest clearance, planting more trees and crops, grazing and trapping by domesticated animals, and the harvesting of planted crops. So, what happens as succession proceeds? Well, the following trends will be evident. The soil will develop and will increase in depth and proportion of organic content. The height and biomass will increase to provide a wider variety of niches to support a greater number of animal species. There will be an increasingly complex plant community with a wider variety of niches to support a greater number of animal species, and the species diversity will increase. This means that the number of food chains will increase and more complex food webs will occur. The community will then become more stable and it will be dominated by key strategists. So there's then this thing called the Seral community, and this is quite important because whenever there's a change in a community, it will be called a C.A.R. And each distinct community in succession is called a Seral stage. So the lichens is a Seral stage, the mosses are a Seral stage, the ferns and grasses are a Seral stage. And these different types of C.A.Rs will depend on the habitat they occupy. So a C.A.R involves colonization of the bare rock, this is a lithosphere, and the C.A.R starting in fresh water known as hydrosphere. And a C.A.R involves a dry habitat known as a xerosphere. And let's move on now and talk about secondary succession. So secondary succession occurs after the existing ecosystem has been disturbed. So after you've reached your climax community and the primary succession is stopped and then the ecosystem has been disturbed, secondary succession will then begin. And secondary succession happens faster than primary succession because secondary succession does not involve the loss of soil and vegetation remains present. This means that more plants and animals are present at the beginning, and secondary succession can therefore be faster to reach this climax. Thank you for watching this video. I've been Dylan Hamilton from C.A.R. Entertainment, and I will see you next time.